So hey anime fans. The series name is What If Naruto Captured the Uzumaki clan and Become the King of It. So let's start the series. The granddaughter of the late Madara Uchiha, Kushina Uchiha Uzumaki, although she in no way informed everybody she became his awesome granddaughter except Mito Uzumaki, had just given birth to her stunning baby boy, the little tan boy, with a tuft of purple hair, blue eyes and 3 equal whisker marks on every cheek. She and Minato had named Naruto, that means maelstrom. Also the primary man or woman of Minato's sensei, Jiraiya's book, the tale of the utterly gutsy shinobi, whilst Kushina become recuperating. Biwako and Taji were silently cradling her infant boy and Minato turned into simply carrying out getting her seal, holding the kyubi, stable. All of a sudden there has been a noise, and a thump that sounded eerily similar to that of a useless frame hitting the floor. She and Minato each whipped their heads round in look for what became incorrect. When they each spotted it, the Sandame's wife, Biwako Sarutobi, in addition to Taji lying there unmoving, a shadowy cloaked determined that donned a white mask with a black flame-like sample on the left side, and an unmarried eye-hole loomed over the top over the now deceased bodies. With their child boy in his draw close, he spoke in a peaceful even tone, Yandame Hokage Minato, step far away from the Jinchuriki, or your infant will die at the ripe vintage age of 1 minute. As Minato became looking to figure out whom this masked man became, he became unaware that the seal preserving the kyubi was slowly breaking, until Kushina cried out in ache. Kushina! Shouted Minato with fear and alarm. The seal's now not completed, he concept gloomily. The masked man repeated again, in his calm tone, step far away from the Jinchuriki, or do you no longer care in case your toddler die? Maintain it, simply relax. Minato tried to purpose, you need to take your own advice Minato, I'm perfectly calm. The stranger spoke, sarcastically. He proceeded to toss the kid into the air. Naruto! Kushina yelled with terror and worry as she noticed her baby within the air and the mysterious man aiming a kunai at him. There has been a yellow flash as Minato teleported to his toddler, adequately shifting them from harm's way. I see, you live up to your moniker, the yellow flash, the masked man said, but, now what? He wondered. It changed into simplest then that Minato realized that the infant's blankets had numerous explosive tags protecting them. Questioning rapid, Minato properly eliminated the blanket and Hirashine to protection, whilst the tags exploded masking the now open region in smoke and debris. Minato! Naruto! Kushina cried with worry. In the meantime Minato had Hirashined himself and his child to their house. He tucked him in at the same time as taking into consideration what the masked man can be making plans. He tried to separate Kushina and me, and is right here when the Jinchuriki seal is at its weakest. May want to he be after kyubi. He came to his realization and yelled in frantic panic, shit. If he's I will ought to cross-try store your mom. I cannot permit kyubi fall into everybody else's palms. Masked guy and Kushina. After a while of gazing Kushina he entered the seal, where he proceeded to use his Sharingan to govern the kyubi. At the outdoor he spoke 3 terrifying phrases, come forth kyubi. Then, it all took place, and tremendous roar and a vile red chakra. The kyubi seemed in all its glory. We head for the village now, he commanded it, forestall. He heard Kushina weakly yell. He became quite amazed. She become nevertheless alive even after the extraction of the fox. He voiced his mind. You Uzumaki without a doubt are something unique. Even ripping a bijou from you might not kill you. It is most effective fitting for the kyubi to kill its former Jinchuriki. Kyubi reared its paw back and struck. The smoke settled best to show Minato retaining Kushina far from the attack. Kushina regarded round urgently, after which asked with worry, where's Naruto? Loosen up, I've hidden him somewhere safe. Minato responded soothingly. Kushina settled down at this, thank God. Minato forestall him, he has the kyubi and is heading for the village. Minato stopped in his tracks. Vain complain could not even hold the kyubi again. He raged internally. He sighed. Oh, properly she's on death's door. Besides, I'll just follow the plan of making myself and Naruto the Jinchurikis for the village. Even though masked man interference turned into unsuspected, however it is better for plan, he thought with glee, at the possibility of the village having 2 weapons. He then vanished with Kushina, house Naruto and Kiyomi. Minato and Kushina appeared in a yellow flash. Minato located Kushina into the bed with Naruto. Just stay with Naruto, Minato answered sternly. Naruto. Kushina started out to weep. Minato, thanks and good luck, she said softly. Minato faced far from her and placed his cloak on. I'll be back earlier than you know it. He proclaimed cheerfully, on the interior although he was seething, silly whore. I cannot permit him attain the village or villagers there, the most critical thing, in addition to retaining the weapon. However, ultimately Konoha will own 2 guns. Hiruzen became sitting in an workplace doing office work protecting for Minato while he felt something vile. It could not be aught to it. He idea to himself, unexpectedly an Anbu regarded in front of him. Sandem-sama, it's the Kyuubi. The Kyuubi attacked the village out of nowhere. The Anbu shouted frantically, it's as I feared. Did Kushina began preventing returned, or by some means Minato's plan is failing. Hiruzen concept, I recognize, I will preserve it again. You cross-collect and defend the civilians, Hiruzen ordered. Hi sir. With that said, the Anbu left. The Sandame had a bunch of questions running through his mind. Did Minato's plan fail? Were all the secure guards we placed up honestly not enough? Kyuubi noticed Minato after he teleported to the Hokage monument. It without delay started out to fee up a Bijidama and fired it at him. Minato but countered this by way of going via a string of hand seals at a totally incredible pace. The Bijidama reputedly absorbed into the monument even as Minato held out and threw one in all his Hiraition kunai outside the village. The Bijidama then exploded, accurately outdoor of the village. The masked guy appeared and engaged Minato in a quick combat. Simply as the masked guy changed into starting to warp him, Minato teleported away. As Minato appeared back where he stored his infant from the exploding tags, his thoughts had been analyzing the masked intruder. My attack simply slipped right via him. Then he became strong and started out sucking me into some sort of dimension or something. What the hell turned into that move? The air distorted in the front of him in a black vortex. The unknown masked shinobi commenced to seem in the front of him. You might not get away from me, the masked guy advised him, having simply completely appeared. While Minato was in deep thought approximately what became occurring. Does he use space-time strategies too? Something its miles have to be how he moved so far after taking Kushina. He defeated the Umbu underneath the direct command of the Sandame. We're given through our maximum effective pinnacle mystery barrier we have, and need to have been aware that Kushina's seal might be weakened at some point of childbirth. Then with the seal damaged, he took the Kyuubi. Then he stormed immediately into Konoha and failed to even pause to deal with the barrier. There may be handiest one man I can think of that makes experience. Are you, Uchiha Madara? Simply after Minato puzzled him, the masked man slipped off his hood showing brief spiky black hair. But Minato got here to an end. No, you couldn't be. He's long lifeless. Oh, I wouldn't be too sure about that, said the masked guy. Minato checked out him questioningly. It does not rely who you are, but why have you attacked Konoha? Oh, you already know. It's a laugh. It is a part of my plan, to begin a struggle to carry peace, the mystery man responded seriously. Minato checked out him with narrowed eyes, thinking about his opponent. Whoever he's amazing. He can manipulate the Kyuubi, wield space-time ninjutsu, advance to the Nidames, and my personal and genuinely has evil intentions. If I do not kill him now, he becomes a more chance than the fox. There's no hope for any of you. The masked man knocked Minato out of his thoughts. The masked man charged him with a chain cuff to his wrists. Minato met his fee as he went to stab him together with his kunai. The masked man, however, virtually phased through him. The chain proceeded to wrap round Minato, binding him tightly. Minato teleported to his kunai once more, and dashed at him with one nonetheless tightly in his grasp. They charged every other once more. Minato threw his kunai. It phased via the masked man's head. When it was completely out of his head, Minato created a Rasengan, still charging forward. Simply as the masked man grasped his arm, gotch, Minato vanished, reappearing above him. Rasengan, shouted Minato as he smashed the method into the masked guys again. The masked man seethed. Damn it, he teleported to the kunai he simply threw. That became Hiraition stage 2. Minato declared proudly. Minato teleported to stab him in the return, and positioned a seal on him, a agreement seal. Are you attempting to tug the Kyuubi out from my manipulate? His masked opponent queered. Oh, I already did. It is not your weapon, Minato stated. It's mine and Konoha's. Kukuku. He concept with glee. You earned your name, Yondaime Hokage the Yellow Flash. You wrestled manipulate of the fox and injured me in one flow. But the fox may be mine. At some point, the fox and the arena will bow to my will. There are nonetheless many doorways open to me. With those previous couple of parting words he vanished, in a black vortex. Some thing tells me he wasn't lying. Minato, even though warily, Kyuubi, hold it off until Yondaime-sama arrives, yelled one of the many shinobi to his fellow comrades. stated man or woman looks on in entire and utter terror whilst he sees that the Kyubi is charging up its personal assault, the Bijidama. This is lousy, is the thought going for walks through Minato's head as he sees Kyubi charging up its Bijidama. A loud cry of Kuchios no Jutsu rung out, and all of a sudden the Toad Boss, Gamabunta, seemed in all his glory. The yondaime atop his head, he looked around and observed the battle that changed into going on and the truth that he had been summoned on pinnacle, the finest recognized Biju, the Kyubi. The yondaime has arrived, exclaimed one of the shinobi. Minato thinks lower back to what the masked guy said. The fox and this global will bow to my will. He bows his head. I want to seal the Kyubi in Naruto and myself in accordance to devise and tell Sensei and Sandaime-sama about this masked guy. Maintain the fox down for a minute. Minato yells to Gamabunta urgently. Appearance I can be large, but I'm now not a miracle employee. Gamabunta exclaimed, I want sufficient time to gather required chakra to take it and the blast out of here. Minato yells once more. All at once, he and the fox vanish. Minato, did he teleport the fox and himself? Hiruzen wondered. Boom. Available. Shouts Hiruzen to the ninja gift. Seeing the large explosion in the distance, Minato and Kyubi. Minato lightly puts Kushina down. Huff. I have were given to put up a barrier. Minato says to Kushina. My chakra is sort of drained. Kushina concept in urgency. Chakra chains shoot out of her back, and he or she wraps the fox in them. Uwaah. Child Naruto cry in Minato's palms. Kushina. An alarmed Minato yells. Kushina trembles in exhaustion. Sorry Naruto, I didn't imply to wake you. Minato seems on with situation. Kushina, I'll drag the Kyubi back and die with it inside me. That'll save you it from coming returned for a while. Huff. It is the most effective manner to store the two of you with the little chakra I've left. Kushina panted out. Already on death's door, she smiles unfortunately. Thank you for the whole thing. No, I can't allow her do this. We want the weapon. Minato concept in alarm. Minato idea speedy. Kushina, you made me your husband, made me the Hokage and made me a father, and I. Minato started out to say, but was interrupted by a regrettably smiling Kushina. Don't look unhappy Minato, I am glad, satisfied, which you've loved me, happy that it's our Sochi's birthday. If I had any regrets it is that I may not see Naruto grow up. At those phrases Minato were given even more alarmed, rattling it. I can't allow her take the weapon. He screamed mentally, but composed himself. Kushina, he drifted off. You do not want to take the fox down with you. We are able to use the last of our chakra to see Naruto one more time. He tried to motive, huh? Kushina said with a wondering look, just a little greater convincing. Minato idea mentally, he took a deep breath and commenced doing a little hand seals, which Kushina overlooked. I'll break up the remaining of your chakra, and seal it into Naruto with the hack no Fuin Shiki, then seal the Kyubi away with a seal a non-jin shuriki like me can use, the Shiki Fujin. He exclaimed simply as he completed the seals. The Shinigami appeared. Kushina's eyes flew open wide. But that person could be Dash. She exclaimed. Minato endured on interrupting her. But I will use it on the way to cut up the fox's strength. It is simply too terrific. It is bodily and conceptually not possible to absolutely seal it all. I cannot permit the Kyubi be revived without a Jinchuriki. It might wreck the balance of the Biju. But with the useless demon seal I'm able to permanently split its energy in one half and seal half inside myself, and the final one half will be sealed interior of Naruto with the hack no Fuin Shiki. Minato finished explaining his high-quality plan. No. Minato. Really now not. He is our baby. It really is why I do not want him to have this burden, my burden, and on his personal. Kushina yelled vehemently. Minato seemed shocked. However, why the Shiki Fujin? You don't have to die as properly. Simply so I will meet them for a few minutes whilst he is older. I desired you to be there for him to elevate them. So then why are you sacrificing Naruto? Kushina twisted up. And for what? The balance of the Biju. She hollered at him. Minato seemed taken aback, which then turned to an appalled appearance. Turning your back at the country, the village, is just as horrific as abandoning your baby. You must apprehend. You noticed your village disintegrate. You know the pain of developing up without a home of your own. And you understand that Konoha is a circle of relatives of shinobi. Minato exclaimed. Kushina seemed pissed. Don't carry my village into this, Minato. They simplest fought in order that the kids ought to escape from the attack. If there may be one thing Uzushio Gakure taught us, It's far that circle of relatives is the most important thing. Village be damned, it's just a bunch of homes. Homes may be rebuilt, however people's stay cannot be lower back. You think this could be Naruto's domestic, if he is Jinchuriki? They'll hate them. I and Mito-sama wasn't due to the fact no one knew. This is one of a kind. Human beings had been killed, the village attacked. The villagers will hate him, Kushina yelled in fury. Minato endured on. I ought to in no way be an alternative choice to a mother. Matters that Naruto want to gain knowledge of that I ought to by no means do myself. That is the mother's task and that I want you to hold it out. Even if you simplest have the briefest of seconds to hold it out, it is now not for you. It's for Naruto. Smiled Minato. Come on Winge, get trapped in my words like you constantly been. So I will complete the plan, do not alternate the situation. It is not for Naruto. He will be on his very own. And hated. How may want you do this? Is the village more crucial to you than your very own toddler? Kushina shouted angrily. Be sincere now Minato, she stated quietly, thoroughly. Kushina. Minato snapped, he continued, the village is the maximum important factor. We want a weapon to protect it. He said, Kushina's shocked look, adjustments to rage, after which natural undulated hatred, her Sharingan activates and starts spinning wildly. I see, then I hate you, Minato Namikaze. You are not my husband. You're no longer Naruto's father. And you won't ever be now. As far as I am worried you're just a sperm donor. Kushina yelled in pure hatred and fury. Minato is stunned, however then he chuckles. I in no way cherished you anyway. I used you for breeding a weapon and researched the name of the game of your clan's Fuinjutsu. Even higher for my plan, since you're an Uchiha as nicely. Kushina after hearing this gains even greater hatred on her face. The spinning Sharingan starts to morph becoming a four-bladed shuriken. Her Mangekyo Sharingan flared. If appears could kill. Kushina gave a hollow chortle. I used you first, bastard. I desired my baby to be more potent than all and sundry. I could not find my destined mate, so I settled for the most powerful, your half of Senju. Haha. You failed to even knew that, did you? No, the Kyuubi sensed and informed me of your lineage. I handiest agreed for my kids' sakes. You never even had sex with me, ha ha ha. She cackled madly earlier than continuing. It became easy to get pregnant. All I had to do became use my Sharingan to position you in Genjutsu. Then erase the memory of my Sharingan and implant false memories if you broke unfastened, although you by no means notion to break out due to the fact they have been used for pride. And you failed to suspected something. Afterwards I were given your semen sample and changed into artificially inseminated. This is it. Mito-sama instructed approximately the plan of Konoha concerning me so I played along kahahaha. She completed cackling madly, as though insane. Minato shook with rage. He'd been outplayed, and he in no way even gotten laid to the whirlpool bitch. She turned into a great piece of ass too. However how Mito bitch discovered approximately that plan, the way you own the Sharingan? He puzzled. There were not any rogue Uchiha, that's proper. I'm Kushina Uzumaki Uchiha, the granddaughter of Uchiha Madara and Uzumaki Kasumi. Kushina shouted. Minato looks shocked, then scared. You Uchiha and Madara, he breathes shakily. He quick tells the Shinigami to cut up the Kyuubi's chakra into yin and yang. He seals the yin one half into himself, or he notions so. Damn you, cursed yandame. Kyuubi shouts with hatred. Kushina's chains weaken due to dropping extra chakra with using the Mangekyo Sharingan. Minato notices the chains weakening. Damn it, useless complain. He concept. The Kyuubi takes a risk and attempts to stab Naruto, which will no longer to be sealed inner a human anymore. Minato and Kushina seem and block the claw from attaining baby Naruto. It pierces them through the belly however. Minato smirks and appears at Kushina. Huh, looks like I gained. He states smugly. Kuchios no Jutsu. He yells, the Kyuubi in the yandame, what the hell passed off to you? The little toad yells in query, shocked. Gamatora. I am entrusting you the key of the seals. Please hurry to Jiraiya-sensei and shop yourself inside him, ordered Minato. I see. Minato is making a brand new guns for the village with the aid of going through his plan and saving the village. Hiruzen thinks that their plan is a success. We're given it, replies Gamatora. Now that the Shiki Fujin and primary half of is sealed, all I ought to do is repeat the hack no Fuin Shiki seal a number of Kushinas and my chakra. I do not want Kushina trying to corrupt the weapon. But he's going to be too loyal with the aid of Then and he's going to need her to assist manage the fox. Minato concept, ****, I don't have much time Naruto. I simply want you to comply with this recommendation, ****, do not be fussy eaters. Consume masses of vegetable and come to be huge, and strong my Sochi. Take your tub ordinary and go to mattress early and sleep nicely. Try to make a few friends. It doesn't depend what number of, just make sure they are your actual buddies, human beings you could agree with. Even a few is enough. Examine your ninjutsu. I used to be in no way superb at it. Maybe you may be. Anybody has issues they may be correct at and components they're no longer. Do not feel horrific in case you cannot do it at all. Ensure you pay attention to the academy teachers, but best the ones you trust, and keep in mind the 3 shinobi vices. Don't borrow money if you may help it. Shop what you earn from missions. No alcohol until you're 20 and don't drink an excessive amount of it'll wreck your body. Naruto, you'll revel in a whole lot of ache and struggling. Constantly live strong and show the ones bastards the real which means of ache who harm you. Just recall who you're and find a dream, a goal, and don't prevent until you obtain it. And live like a real Uzumaki. Sniff, there may be so much greater, ***sniff** that I need to teach you, ***sniff**, but simply take into account that I will constantly live with you, and I'm able to always love you, no matter what you do. Kushina finished pronouncing, with a grin on her face. You whinge. You took all of my time. Minato yells in anger. He keeps, Naruto, do not pay attention in your motormouth mom. You are a weapon, you don't have any worry. Always follow the orders and display your enemy's ache and always protect your village regardless of what. Hack no Fuin Shiki. Inside the seal that turned into the ultimate component, the Kyubi no Yoko, heard before he becomes sucked into the seal made up entirely by using the Shinigami's electricity, because it shook off its dazed kingdom, being transformed into wisps of electricity, after which into its authentic form could do that to someone. Kurama took in its environment. It changed into now status on a complete white plane, which changed into to be anticipated. It was now sealed inside a new child and they failed to assume plenty. It also growled whilst it noticed that due to that, a collar around its neck represented the seal. How disturbing, best puppies wore collars. And it changed into a goddamn fox capable of incomprehensible destruction. Happily, it changed into now not split in half like that bastard Yondaime had deliberate to achieve this. Speak me of that. Gah. Kyubi watched with gleeful eyes because the Yondaime's body skidded right into a halt after he was kicked painfully within the stomach. The blonde-haired man looked up and his eyes widened when he noticed Kyubi staring down at him with a wicked smirk. His eyes widened even greater while he felt that Kyubi was now not split in half. Of find it irresistible turned into alleged to. What the hell is going on? Why are you whole and why I'm no longer in the afterlife? Asked Minato, distressed. His belly had butterflies as he thought of his plan being jeopardized, however that turned into impossible. You are not within the afterlife for the same cause. I am no longer in the Shinigami's stomach, you asshole. Shouted a girl voice from at the back of him. Minato became round with widened eyes to see Kushina evident at him with so much hate it made him balk. What? Did you? Minato trailed off as he found out the impossibility of his phrases. Kushina could not have regarded it become impossible. All his notes on his plan and direction of action have been tightly sealed. Oh shit, Kushina tangled up at Minato, realize about the plan of sealing one half of Kyubi inside Naruto. The other half of internal of you, the usage of the Shiki Fujin and me because the sacrifice, and then flip my son into a weapon? Realize that each Hiruzen, Danzo, and Jiraiya are also supporting this plan? Sure, I understand. Here she chuckled mirthlessly. You have been so silly. Firstly, you wrote what you planned, and secondly, you concept that seals were sufficient to defend them. So silly, said Kushina, shaking her head in disappointment. She wasn't best disenchanted on Minato. She become additionally disappointed in herself. She must have seen this coming now that she idea about it. Minato always did the entirety with a motive. He by no means acted on instinct or on a whim. Each move he did turned into with motive, and he anticipated outcomes from everything he did. Why making her, the Jinchuriki of the strongest beast, fall in love with him, getting married and having an infant changed into to be any one of a kind. It changed into now Minato, who glared at Kushina. You silly and vain whore. He shouted at her, however Kushina simply blinked blankly at him. Do what you've got done. Minato changed into so enraged he could not shape phrases. Kushina shrugged her shoulders uncaringly. I used the Shiki Fujin to seal Kyubi inner of Naruto, imparting the Shinigami 99% of your soul and 1% of mine as price, and maximum of the Uzumaki seals. I concept you were foe or wrong. Kushina glared. I can no longer permit this village use my son because it sees in shape. I will live by using his facet no matter what, family comes first, constantly, declared Kushina with an experience of finality. Minato laughed satirically and in anger, you silly bitch. You are sealed inner of Naruto simply as much as I'm. How will you stay through his side, huh? The smile Kushina gave him in reality terrified him more than the glares she were directing at him. Being sealed internal Naruto became a part of the plan for the reason that I will do what I want to do uninterrupted. Minato ought to most effective widen his eyes whilst two golden chains of materialized electricity emerged from Kushina's open palms. One pierced his brow and extracted white airy energy that Kushina absorbed with a shudder. She then channeled Kyuubi's Yuki via the other chain and wrapped it round Minato, who commenced to scream in pain as his soul turned into destroyed. He glared at Kushina with widened eyes. You think this is over, you whinge? Hiruzen, Danzo and Jiraiya-sensei will see that Naruto turns into the weapon Konoha wishes to guarantee its supremacy over the opposite nations. Minato's deranged laughter echoed until he became no extra. Kushina merely shook her head. I am counting on it, she said to herself earlier, then turning closer to the Kyuubi, who turned into staring intently at her with that same smirk on its face. Become that enough proof that I was being severe? Approximately my concept? Kyuubi chuckled. Indeed it became. I admit that it amazed me to see you act so ruthlessly, but I bet a mother would do something for her toddler. Kyuubi chuckled all over again in entertainment. Kushina's lips twitched upward. We the Uzumaki put family above anything else, and understanding what Konoha did to us, to my family, and then understanding what Minato become planning for my toddler is sufficient to exchange someone in my state of affairs. And Mito-sama expected this and informed me approximately it, so it need to be of no wonder. Kyuubi's eyes twitched as Kushina referred to Mito's call. Can we need to do the other factor about that woman? I don't like her that lots. At the same time as Kyuubi's voice held annoyance, Kushina cited how worried it turned into whilst it talked about Mito, and she couldn't blame the beast. Mito changed into pretty horrifying while the situation demanded it. Kushina nodded her head tightly. Sure, we do, and we need to put together Naruto for the times to come back. I believe which you already started out to alter his body, right? Kushina raised an eyebrow when Kyuubi shook his head. I was waiting if you want to be absolutely assimilated into the seal, so he also were given the special chakra from you. I don't know if it might additionally appear like chains, however it is going to be able to subdue the alternative Biju, and it'd make it less complicated for him to use my chakra whilst he is prepared. And I am additionally running on his Senju and Uchiha DNA so he can get bloodlines of both clans, defined Kyuubi before it concentrated and sent a shockwave of diluted red electricity through the mindscape. Kyuubi then commenced to pulse before greater shockwaves started to originate from it frequently, each one more constant than the alternative till it stopped absolutely. Executed. Kushina nodded her head. Top. Now I'll assimilate Minato's knowledge so I could use it to teach Naruto. He changed into a despicable individual, yes, but his competencies were simplest second to the likes of Uchiha Madara and Senju Hashirama. Kyuubi scoffed as it were given in a at-ease position so its head rested on top of its crossed paws. You worded that proper. Capabilities no longer power. Only the sage and his sons have been above those two monsters. Kyuubi stopped and then appeared around for a minute before chuckling. But I guess Naruto would be the only one to surpass those two if the whole lot is going as planned. Kushina nodded her head and were given in a lotus position to help her listen in what memories from Minato she wanted, especially the Rasengan, the Hiraishin and his techniques of education his body. If everything is going as deliberate, the Uzumaki will upward thrust once more to strength and my treasured son will stand at the peak of humanity, she declared softly, however with a lot conviction that Kyuubi believed her phrases to be truth, even though they'd now not befell. But, and my siblings, and I'm able to stand loose with the aid of his facet. That is what you and Mito promised, reminded Kyuubi with wish in its voice because it felt Naruto's chakra soaking up nature chakra, which became flowing and merging to the Naruto's chakra certainly. Now it changed into certain. What Mito stated was fact. Naruto become the kid the sage kept talking approximately in his desires. It become whilst the sage dreamed that his visions of the future befell. You higher accept as true with it, Kyuubi. Kushina opened her eyes and smiled at the nine-tailed fox. We of the Uzumaki clan in no way move back on our words, Kurama. Again the smile with a true one in every of its personal. Call me Kiyomi. It's my actual name. Kushina's smile best widened, then it sinks what Kiyomi said. So, obviously, she exclaimed, why, you are a girl. In the meantime in council chamber, already in the chambers were the individuals of all three of the councils, Shinobi, Civilian and his advisors, the elders, Hamura, Koharu and Danzo. From the civilian aspect, properly he sincerely couldn't be remembering their names. They would just waste his time. From the Shinobi Council where Shibi Aburame, Fugaku Uchiha, Shikaka Nara, Inoichi Yamanaka, Chiza Akimichi, Murakumo Kurama, and vacant spots for the Senju and Uzumaki clans, he sighed. As he located Naruto into the crib, he figured this will be a long nighttime. Sandim-sama. What came about to Yandim-sama? Inoichi wondered, looking round for Minato. Properly Inoichi. Seeing as he is no longer right here, I am assuming something tough has happened to him. Isn't always why you've called us right here, Sandim-sama, said Shikaku as he centered his interest from Inoichi to Hiruzen. Not anything ever receives beyond you, does it, Shikaku? Hi, you are right, something has passed off to Minato, Hiruzen responded as quickly as he stated that. As he predicted, there had been shouts coming from all the directions of the council chambers. Hiruzen simply rubbed his temples in irritation and sighed. He became proper. This changed into going to be an extended night time. Silence. He ordered and then spoke frivolously. If you will just allow me a second to inform you what has passed off, we will address any problems to hand and get lower back to our houses and households quicker, as I'm certain all of you understand by using now the Kyuubi has attacked the village. There have been numerous casualties. It just appeared out of nowhere. He paused to take a breath. Anyway, once the Kyuubi arrived near the village, numerous shinobi held the beast off until Minato arrived for battle. While he arrived, the Kyuubi changed into about to release a Bijidama. Thankfully, Minato Hiroshined himself, the beast and its attack out of doors the partitions of the village. After that he proceeded to seize an orphan that became just born tonight so that you can seal the Kyuubi into him. The Fuinjutsu he used value him his life. It is referred to as the Shiki Fujin. The motive it cost him his lifestyles is because the jutsu summons the Shinigami. Using this seal he sealed the Kyuubi into this infant right here. Uzumaki Naruto, he declared as he held the purple-haired boy up to them. After that he gently located him back after a moment. Come on, please hate him so I'm able to extra easily mold him into weapon by comforting him. By way of control him to show you all wrong via turning into a shinobi. Kukukukuku. He mused as a substitute darkly. Looking ahead to their reactions. 3, 2, 1, he mentally counted down. Just as he anticipated, the chambers exploded in uproar, in particular from the civilian facet. There had been many calls of kill the demon. Or finish what Yandim-sama started out. Inwardly Hiruzen became cheering. At the outside, although he had a slightly visible smirk. Having enough of the noise, he raised some killing rationale and bellowed, enough you idiots. This baby isn't always a demon. Minato wanted you to see them as hero. Some other round of concern changed into met with that statement. He sighed, fine. I will need to make a few regulations so one can be observed. Am I clean? He asked again, effect by way of a few killing purpose. Hi Sandim-sama. Hiruzen sighed. Top. He cleared his throat. Now know it is easy to communicate about who the Kyuubi is sealed into in public. Or to the younger generation. The respectable tale is that Minato sacrificed his lifestyles on the way to kill the Kyuubi. You are not to damage the kid in any way. These are S-rank laws, and key is anybody who is foolish sufficient to do so will be punished with loss of life. Does all and sundry apprehend? It became met with any other round of shock. Enough. Hiruzen bellowed with killing rationale. I requested if everybody understood. Hi Sandim-sama became a speedy chorus for the duration of the room. Hiruzen Danzo exclaimed, getting his interest. I suppose the boy need to be positioned beneath me, so I can mold him into the ideal weapon for the village, Danzo proclaimed proudly. No Danzo, this infant will now not come to be weapon, he's only a baby. Nothing more, and don't you overlook that. Do I make myself clear? He spoke evenly, leaking a bit of killing cause. TCH high quality. Hi Hiruzen. All the while Sarutobi become thinking completely otherwise. Nicely playing antique pal. He becomes the weapon of Konoha sooner or later. Kukuku, very well. I'm able to area the kids inside the orphanage now. This meeting is dismissed. Hiruzen then got up and proceeded to take Naruto to the orphanage. As a minimum I might not should do office work this night. Yes, he declared proudly in his head. He simply dropped the Naruto off at the orphanage, with phrases to the matron that if anything dangerous came about to him there might be trouble. Now not that he might truly do anything. However, humans failed to want to recognize that. After all, he had his excellent and sort vintage guy face to keep up. Now he turned into on his manor home while a root Anbu landed in the front of him. Sandim-sama. Danzo-sama would like to have a quick meeting about the Jinchuriki, the Foundation operative said, in a monotone voice. Without emotions, Hiruzen nodded, looking forward to this from Danzo, but answered politely, yes, I used to be expecting as tons. Inform him we'll meet in my workplace. I'll be there in a few minutes. The Foundation soldier nodded. Hi Sandim-sama. Danzo-sama could be waiting. With that, the operative left to tell Danzo. Hiruzen endured on his trek to the Hokage Tower, opting to walk and experience the peace rather than the use of the Shunshin no Jutsu. Hokage Tower. 5 minutes later, upon arrival, Danzo changed into already seated within the workplace opposite the table, frivolously sipping upon a few tea. He grew to become and faced his long-term buddy and rival. Tea, Hiruzen? He presented. It will be calming after the occasions of the Kyuubi's attack. Hiruzen clearly nodded and moved to sit down inside the chair at the back of his desk. He took a sip of his tea and decided to get things started. Danzo seemed a bit perplexed, and voiced his opinion. Why can't I have him from the start? And make him loyal and strong weapon as deliberate? Hiruzen shook his head. I need him to nonetheless hold feelings like Minato planned so he can use Kyuubi's chakra. However, have him loyal to the village of his very own unfastened will. Set him with an impossible aim, like becoming Hokage. I will play the loving grandfather, determine and manipulate him into looking. No desiring to emerge as Hokage to advantage acknowledgement of the villagers. I can try this rather than Minato. This will in no way occur of path. He's going to stay unswerving to Konoha through this, even though he will be strictly loyal to the Hokage, if everyone hates him besides myself. Then at suitable age we will train him to emerge as the weapon they intended to be, all in keeping with Minato's plan. Danzo nodded, liking the idea to this point. He wouldn't have them, but they could be dependable weapons for Konoha. Are you sure the council will tell the relaxation of village about his fame? Danzo requested. Yes, someone will, if not now then in future. It's far inevitable in any case. That is the purpose. I found out that he is a Jinchuriki. You actually are the quality manipulator, aren't you? You've been manipulating the council for years. Hiruzen nodded, chuckling a bit. Yes, Danzo nodded in full settlement. Thoroughly then. Suitable night time, Hiruzen? He nodded. Desirable night as properly, Danzo. I look forward to seeing how our weapons improvement go. With that stated, they both went their separate ways, having mind about how the plan would perform in some years' time. Konoha turned into safe. It'd stay sturdy. This night became an excellent night time. Bar the attack and loss of some shinobi. 6 years later. Why do they hate me, Sarutobi-san? Hiruzen. Sarutobi seemed down on the 6-year-old child that requested him a query that became out of region for a child that age. The boy had icy blue eyes and shaggy red hair that blanketed his left eye and reached the nape of his neck. You may be questioning why this 6-year-old boy is calling such query. Because of his condition, he is hated within the village. At 4 years age he turned into kicked out of orphanage, wherein he lived on streets and ate thrown food or fruit he gathered from jungle for 6 months. Then he become given a rundown condo and month-to-month stipend to buy food and vital objects, where he's overcharged and bought expired stuff. He had no pals besides some individuals who saved him from mob. They have been at the boys' condominium after their commonplace walks across the village, and it was all a plan to make Naruto loyal to him. It becomes so the boy would look for him for consolation till he became Naruto's confidant, and then he and Danzo could train Naruto to be Konoha's dependable protect dog, or fox, in the event that they took into consideration the type of animal Naruto housed. Sarutobi placed a hand on Naruto's head and ruffled his hair, but Naruto swatted his hand away with an irritated grunt. Amusing, Sarutobi. They do not hate you, Naruto-kun. What makes you suspect that? Oh, the village hated the boy, okay. However, Sarutobi needed to position and act for him. Naruto gave the Hokage an incredulous appearance. Didn't you spot the seams they send my way? And they only checked out me like that because you were with me and they admire you for being the Hokage. Typically they would curse me out and throw things at me and chuckle when they hit me. I am amazed they haven't mobbed me already. Sarutobi stored a relaxed visage. Well, you do have a tendency to prank them sometimes. Sarutobi trailed off. Retaining his oblivious act, Naruto crossed his palms over his chest. I prank them because of the manner they treat me and that I cannot do a lot extra on the grounds that I am now not a shinobi, muttered Naruto with a scowl on his face that momentarily triggered Sarutobi to feel a piece uncomfortable. However, he shook it off. It turned into now time to carry Naruto into the right route. However, that isn't always manner to prove them incorrect, Naruto-kun. By doing pranks to them, you are simply giving them more cause to treat you the way they do. You have to give them a motive no longer to hate you. In case you try this, I'm sure that they will take a look at you and treat you differently. Sarutobi smirked inwardly when Naruto checked out him with interest. How am I able to try this? Sarutobi shrugged. You could always assist the villagers with their chores in place of pranking them. Prove them that you are simply a good youngster that issues about his village and the people in it. Sarutobi got a gleam on his eyes. Or you could continually become a shinobi of Konoha. Naruto perked up at that. He trendy the shinobi when you consider that they have been very powerful and could do matters no different humans should do. That interested him. A shinobi? He looked at Sarutobi with slightly hopeful eyes. Sarutobi ought to feel the excitement going through his veins. Sure. A shinobi. They protect the village with their lives and everybody right here respects them. Might you like to end up a shinobi? Sarutobi asked kindly. Naruto nodded his head slowly. Sure, I would like to end up one, but I do not have everybody to teach me, Naruto muttered lamentably. He knew that extended family youngsters had been already being educated to go to the academy in 4 years' time, and he thought that it turned into unfair. Sarutobi studied Naruto like an open book and bent right down to whisper so as no longer to be heard via anybody else. Tell you what, Naruto-kun, I will search for a person it's inclined to educate you. Think if you really need to become a shinobi, and by the time you return to a selection, I will have already got someone to do it. Deal? Naruto. Idea about it and nodded. Deal. Sarutobi chuckled and with a glad air around him ruffled Naruto's hair and exited the apartment. Naruto watched him go with narrowed eyes. His verbal exchange with the vintage man stressed him more than it gave him solutions. How the leader of the village was oblivious to how its occupants acted even when it changed into manifestly obvious. Why changed into he's so adamant on him protective a village that handiest confirmed him hate and scorn. And why every time he asked about his mother and father the man refrained from the question and modified subjects. A lot that Naruto were given tired of asking that query for the reason that he knew that it might move unanswered. So many query and there was no person to reply them. Naruto hated unknowns. He desired to recognize why the village hated him in an effort to come to a final decision if he desired to come to be a shinobi for it or not, if it become for an excellent enough motive. Like if his dad and mom have been despicable folks that deflected the day he was born or had been the reason the Kyuubi attack, he could show them incorrect, but if it become for some stupid reason, like if they notion he changed into the Kyuubi reincarnated, it workable they even though like this given that he became born the equal day the beast become attacked and subsequently killed. Then he would plan an easy leave the village and cross someplace else, so he may want to stay a non-violent existence without being hated through humans he did not even know. But how become he going to get his answers? I will give them to you. Naruto jerked and with extensive eyes he regarded around the dwelling room of his admittedly excellent rental. As a minimum the Hokage was kind sufficient to have him living in an area that become livable, whilst he determined not anything. He got here to the belief that the voice came from within his mind. That changed into kind of cool, although he determined it to be simply as weird. The voice, incredibly woman and rather familiar, giggled in enjoyment. Visit the Hokage monument and search for a black spiral mark on pinnacle of the first Hokage's head. All of your questions can be replied. Ensure that nobody follows you. It stated before vanishing absolutely. Naruto knew he changed into no longer insane. The voice on his head changed into acquainted enough that he believed he had recognized, or at least heard, the one that becomes speak me. And they promised to answer all his questions, so with not anything higher to do and with the promise of not being kept inside the dark no greater. Naruto exited his apartment. A glad Hiruzen sat on his workplace going through some documents that detailed the inexpensive state of affairs of the village. As he examined through them and authorized or declined offers to benefit the village, Sarutobi couldn't assist. However, suppose that his interplay with Naruto earlier had been very efficient. He already began to install the desire to be identified by means of the village, and that the satisfactory way to do it changed into protecting through becoming a shinobi. Things were going just as deliberate. Sarutobi then seemed up from his paper while he felt a presence arriving, and he became now not surprised to see that Danzo changed into standing within the middle of it. The man become Hiruzen's youth friend and turned into just a little below the Sandame stage of ability and strength. It was the reason why the Nidame choose him and not Danzo, because the Hokage. A lot to Danzo's bitterness on the early days, however, that becomes solved when Hiruzen proved himself to the person by means of doing what it had to be executed for the sake of Konoha. Sarutobi greeted his old friend a laugh. What brings you here, antique friend? Sarutobi knew why Danzo changed into here. It become the best component they mentioned in recent times, but he had to ask in any case. It riled up the opposite man and it amused Hiruzen. Danzo took a seat and simply frowned at Hiruzen's question. You already know why I'm here, Hiruzen, so stop fooling around, Hiruzen, said Danzo. He is a man with a feel of a person that desired to do something because he desired and had to do it to get it accomplished with. He become bizarre like that. You shouldn't interrupt an old guy's leisure. I'm just as vintage as you. Because of this that you need to amuse yourself more regularly. Danzo simply sighed in defeat and overlooked Hiruzen's chuckles. The old guy had not modified one bit, but he guessed it become his manner of managing the stuff he needed to do for the village, and so as not to move insane like many shinobi earlier than him. The night aim become extreme all the time, and look how he ended up, a cynical guy that no longer even depended on his own shadow. How far have you progressed with the Jinchuriki? Is he unswerving or to a fault already? Danzo requested bluntly. That was what he became interested in. His part on Minato's plan became to make the boy a weapon that only heeded orders. Sarutobi grew to become severe. Naruto doubts the villagers and the way they deal with him. I do not know who leaked out the understanding of him being the Jinchuriki. However, it was a very good factor Minato planned in advance in case of that taking place. I already promised him that someone, which is you, will teach him if he ever come to decided to be a shinobi for this village. Provide me some extra months and he may be our loyal domestic dog that we will teach to be Konoha's pet fox. Danzo nodded, thrilled before he seemed particularly remorsefully to Minato's body. It's miles a shame actually that Minato could not be here to teach the Jinchuriki. He ought to be taught him the Hiraishin and the Rasengan. However, I guess we beggars can't be choosers. Danzo chuckled at the quit, guffawing at a few type of a inner joke. Hiruzen shook his head. Take into account that we are able to use the Edo Tensei to bring Minato lower back so he could finish Naruto's arrangements. He should have subjugated the opposite one half of the Kyuubi by now, and it's looking forward to us to restore him, with the energy of the Kyuubi, an immortal body and countless chakra. Minato will upward thrust to end up the most powerful Kage and Konoha will stand at the top, declared Hiruzen strongly. Indeed. Danzo nodded. Earlier than he recalled a situation that could in all likelihood make their plans fails if it went out of hand. What is the present-day repute of the state of affairs with the Uchiha? Hiruzen sighed and rubbed his temples. It is getting worse through the minute. Itachi reviews that in their conferences the resentment towards the village is being expressed increasingly more and with even extra passion on every occasion they keep one. I worry that if matters move like this and the village maintains to suspect of them being behind the assault of the Kyuubi 6 years ago, then they would retaliate against it. Danzo rubbed his scarred chin. It is maximum in all likelihood that they'll plan a coup. Could you need me to prepare some of my shinobi from now so they stand a hazard against the Uchiha whilst the time comes? Danzo knew many approaches one may want to counter an Uchiha's Sharingan, and when you consider that he had an army of shinobi at his beck and phone, then he become prepared for something the Uchiha could provide you with. Hiruzen shook his head. It may not be vital. If the worst comes, Itachi will contend with it as there is nobody greater dependable to Konoha than him. As a substitute, prepare for Naruto's arrival because if he's something like his father, he becomes a strong shinobi, and take in the know-how like a sponge, said Sarutobi with a assured smirk on his face. Danzo nodded and disappeared in a flicker of movement. Sarutobi for his part were given at ease and continued to work on his paperwork, and that made him sigh. He loved his village greater than all and sundry else. However, going for walks it became a pain within the ass. But that didn't count number. He would do anything for it. Anything. It took Naruto the higher part of 2 hours to make his way from his condominium to the monument. Disregarded, but he controlled to drag it off. He just had to stay in the alleyways and keep away from being seen by way of the civilians, and to the shinobi he becomes simply some other child, albeit one they knew housed the strongest of Biju. Going through the village as he stood up on pinnacle of Hashirama's head, Naruto appeared down on the village, and even as it housed the human beings that hated him, he couldn't help however respect its architectural aesthetic, consistent with the histories the Sandaime advised him. It turned into constructed nearly 100 years in the past through the very man he becomes status on. He could not fathom the form of power one needed to own to construct a village from nothing. However, Naruto determined the possibility of having that kind of power very appealing to him. Don't forget why you're right here. The voice chided him lightly, and Naruto, a little embarrassed, started to look for the black spiral mark. It took him a couple of minutes, however he sooner or later determined it. It turned into smaller than his palm, and that said a great deal by its length given that Naruto was an 6-year vintage child. It made him think that it was completed so as that the handiest manner for a person to discover became for him or her to be actively looking for it. Chunk your finger till it bleeds and run your blood across it. Naruto raised an eyebrow at the abnormal preparation, however complied nonetheless. He bit his finger and flinched while he controlled to attract blood. He ran his bloody finger throughout the easy floor of the spiral mark, a evident evaluation to the harsh one of the fabric that made up the top of the strongest Hokage. There was a pant of smoke that surprised Naruto, and while it cleared way to the wind, which additionally turned into ruffling Naruto's hair, a undeniable scroll turned into discovered. Take it with you into the forest in the back of the monument. Naruto picked up the scroll and ran toward the woods, keeping it tightly. He ran till the voice advised him that it turned into enough and that he may want to prevent. As he regained his breath, Naruto tested the scroll, maintaining it at a degree. It became the size of his forearm, and now that he ought to recognize it, he referred to the golden trims at its side and the pink ribbon that tied it close. Now what? Open it. Shrugging his shoulders, Naruto untied the crimson ribbon and watched because the scroll spread out. There was a shiny light. Naruto fell to the ground. Subconscious Naruto's mindscape. Naruto groaned and held his head as he awakened. His head changed into pulsing annoyingly and he felt a touch dizzy as he stood up. Naruto took in a deep breath earlier than searching around, and his eyes widened in wonder when he noticed the plush green subject that extended to at least one side to a tree line with timber so huge he couldn't even see the cover, and to the other aspect there has been a lake that extended to in which his eyes may want to see. He took in the lovely situation, and that become whilst he noticed he become now not on my own in any place this vicinity was. The first being he observed was a very well large fox that had crimson orange fur and sported 9 fluffy tails that had been waving lazily at the back of it. The fox changed into searching at him with amused eyes, and a smirk turned into settled on its mouth. Naruto additionally stated that the top body of the fox became that of a human's, with opposable thumbs even. It abruptly waved merrily at him. Then he observed a beautiful purple-haired girl that became appraising him with sharp violet eyes. Her decorative kimono failed to cover the properly developed curves she sported and even accentuated them. Naruto paid attention to her face as she nodded her head and smiled him with approving. His chakra may be very similar to Hashirama's, and he truly is handsome. He could do very thoroughly. The way she stated that made Naruto fearful of direction. He is handsome. He's my Sochi in the end. Naruto diagnosed the smug-sounding voice as the only that gave him the bizarre commands, and he checked out the redhead. She was just as beautiful as the first one, however her curves had been more evolved. Or perhaps it was the fact her garments of shorts and tank pinnacle were extra revealing. He didn't know. What he did know become that this female changed into searching at him with so much love that he thought only a mom may want to. Ka-san? Naruto requested uncertainly and with a hopeful tone. Kushina nodded her head happily and spread her arms huge as she kneeled with a smile on her face. Sure, Naruto-kun. My call is Kushina Uzumaki and I'm your Ka-chan. Now come here and give me a hug, she stated to him. Kiyomi and Mito watched as Naruto ran closer to Kushina, and the two embraced in a fierce hug, and it delivered a grin to their faces. Naruto for his part changed into happy that he finally met his mom, and he knew she become his mother because the love she felt coming from her should most effective be described as the only of a mother or her toddler. Her scent changed into additionally familiar, and Naruto had flashes of reminiscence about strands of her hair. This turned into his mother. He had a circle of relatives. He tightened her preserve in opposition to him. Kushina for her part couldn't be any happier. She in the end reunited together with her infant after 8 years. She had been ready until he became aware of the dislike the village harbored toward him, so she may want to reveal herself towards him and to make him aware of his motive as an instantaneous descendant of the Uzumaki. It could be a touch manipulative of her component, however as a mother she had to look out for her toddler's satisfactory hobby. The mother and son duo ended their glad include, and Naruto looked at her with a tender smile. There is lots of stuff I want to ask you, Ka-chan. I don't even know where to begin. Kushina ran her hands via her Sochi's hair and marveled at how soft it became before kissing his brow. And they all might be, responded Naruto-kun, however first you need to fulfill this too. Kushina motioned to the giant fox and the other crimson head, and Naruto seemed optimistically at them. Mito cleared her throat before smiling at Naruto. My call is Mito Uzumaki, and you may say that I am your awesome grandaunt on Kushina-chan's aspect. It's far a pride to in the end meet the hope of our own family. Naruto's eyes widened when she stated she turned into his notable grandaunt. What? Excuse me, woman, if I don't consider you to be my tremendous grandson thing you are, however you're too younger and beautiful to be a granny. As he stated this, Naruto was shaking his head inside the bed and waving his arms round. Mito's smile widened as she were given a gleam in her eyes. A flatterer, huh? Very superb indeed. Another time her tone and now the manner she become searching at him made Naruto frightened. Kushina for her part giggled in entertainment. We were given our work cut off already, don't you suspect, Mito-sama? Mito handiest giggled demurely at the back of the sleeve of her kimono. Kiyomi rolled her eyes at the girls and determined to store the package from extra embarrassing state of affairs. It turned into embarrassing enough the stuff. Kushina told her what she and Mito anticipated Naruto to do within the destiny, which even made the almighty Kyubi no Yoko to end up embarrassed. My name is Kiyomi, and as you probably found out, I'm the Kyubi no Yoko that changed into sealed inner of you at delivery. Sorry for that, considering that I'm why the village treat you so badly, stated Kiyomi with remorse in her voice as she looked at Naruto with regret in her crimson-slitted eyes. Naruto stared at Kiyomi in the attention with a passive expression on his face. Did you attack the village in your very own volition, Kiyomi-san? Requested Naruto. surprising all people there. Kushina tightened her hold around Naruto as she regarded down at him. Why do you ask that, Naruto-kun? Naruto couldn't possibly know of the circumstances surrounding the attack. Should he? Naruto looked at her right in the attention and without hesitation, then replied, I'm now not just like the villager's mom. I do not want to hate Kiyomi-san right here with simply understanding what I heard about her being a beast that only destroyed stuff due to the fact she may want to. And now due to the fact she is sealed, anything which means, internal of me, I need to have the full tale. At his response Kiyomi's eyes widened before she seemed to the sky an idea that this become indeed the boy the sage promised could deliver the tailed beast collectively. Kushina ought to most effective hug Naruto tighter and look at him with satisfaction and Mito become blushing profusely and held her cheek as she mumbled, he is ideal, like a few sort of mantra. Kiyomi seemed down at Naruto and shook its first-rate head. No, I didn't, Naruto. I used to be sealed interior Kushina when I was forcefully extracted from her. The mission being simpler because of her seal being weaker thanks to her having given birth to you. I was absolutely intending on leaving and experience my freedom after a long time of imprisonment whilst I was possessed by a man wielding the Sharingan. He made me assault the village, however thankfully I used to be freed, however then the yondaime attacked me and that I retaliated on intuition. The person changed into planning to cut up me in half to seal a part of me interior of him and every other one interior you and use your mother as a sacrifice to do so, however thankfully she already knew of his plans for you. Kiyomi sounded sour as she defined what happened that night and nobody may want to blame me. Naruto looked at her mom with the same passive appearance on his face. Why might the yondaime need to seal one half of Kiyomi-san interior of me? He asked definitely. Kushina sighed and got secure, so she ought to give an explanation for. The first aspect you need to realize is that the yondaime, Minato Namikaze, is your father. Hearing this Naruto's eyes widened, however they soon went back to passive appearance. He wanted to make a Jinchuriki of you and himself to give Konoha 2 effective guns. Himself because the Hokage and you as his dependable canine that could do everything he ordered it to do. Kushina growled lowly as she said the ultimate component. Hell shall now not hath no fury like a mom witnessing her child in danger. It become a good component. Mito warned me about Konoha's plan regarding me and my baby while she passed away and that I found notes of his plans for you. Naruto nodded his head slowly. That truly explains why the villagers hate me and why Sarutobi is so adamant on me proving them wrong via displaying them that I care for Konoha. He noticed how Mito flinched when he uttered Sarutobi's call, however stuffed it for later. He checked out Kushina. So which means that you are also sealed internal of me? Kushina nodded her head. Yes, considering I am an Uzumaki. I controlled to show Minato's sealing technique towards him and used it to seal Kiyomi-san and myself inside of you, considering the fact that due to Genjutsu positioned on her, Kiyomi nearly killed you and I jumped in to shield you. I used to be fatally wounded and would have died, so I took the subsequent excellent preference. I also sealed a tiny part of Minato's soul right here that I used to get his recollections, so we should use his information to educate you up, said Kushina with a boastful air round her. Mito chuckled at her. You have not changed at all, Kushina-chan. She giggled when Kushina scratched the lower back of her head in a sheepish manner. Naruto nodded his head and looked at Kiyomi with a grin on his face. If that is the case, you then have nothing to be sorry about, Kiyomi-san. The only responsible here is Minato Namikaze and the man that controlled you to attack the village. You are a victim much like Mom and I are. Kiyomi backed Naruto's smile with actual of her one, even supposing her razor-sharp tooth made that gesture look terrifying. Thank you for knowledge, Naruto. Now I know that I didn't make the wrong desire in helping Mito and Kushina. Naruto nodded his head earlier, then turning in the direction of Kushina with a stressed expression on his face. I recognize why you and Kiyomi-san are sealed internal of me, but is she doing here? Naruto pointed at Mito when he finished his question. Kushina lightly pushed his arm down. It's impolite to factor at humans that aren't your enemies, Naruto-kun. Now. Kushina trailed off as she looked at Mito with a severe expression on her face. I wager it is time for us to give an explanation for him about his motive. Naruto handiest got extra pressured. My motive? Mito got his attention whilst she nodded. Yes, your reason, Naruto-kun. Kushina-chan failed to seal herself and Kurama internal of you simply because she ought to and desired to do it. Nor did I seal half of my soul in that scroll just to speak to you. Mito took in a deep sigh earlier, than turning even greater extreme. What do you realize approximately the Uzumaki extended family? Naruto tilted his head to the aspect. Uzumaki clan? We belong to a clan? Mito scowled and muttered underneath her breath. That goddamn monkey's corruption runs deeper than what I imagined. She then checked out Naruto instantly in the attention. Sure, Naruto-kun. We the Uzumaki were an extended family that become on par with the Uchiha and Senju thanks to our prowess inside the sealing arts and the way we carried out them into our war fashion. We lived in an island surrounded by way of whirlpools of our own advent if you want to hold outsiders from going into our land. Naruto turned into looking at Mito with surprise on his eyes. Wow, our extended family seems like one of these badass, stated Naruto excitedly. Kushina giggled into her palm. Sure, we had been Naruto-kun. Yes, we had been. Wait, we had been? What took place? Naruto now become noticing Kushina's saddened appearance and Mito's angered one. Kiyomi became listening with an emotionless expression. Konoha betrayed us. Mito almost twisted up. The second Shinobi International struggle was caused because the other international locations feared the combined would possibly of the Senju, Uchiha and Uzumaki, and they started out to assault at once Konoha's strongholds that have been placed through Hai no Kuni. The opposite villagers determined to break of at the least one of the three clans. They had been going to assault Konoha, so Konoha wanted them to prevent attacking its shinobi on sight, and for the reason that best thing the Uzumaki were outdoor the village walls, they decided to give us up. Hiruzen knew about a secret passage to go into Uzushio Gakure thanks to my marriage to Hashirama, and used that to clear out in battalions of AIM, IWA, Kiri and Kumo-nin. Mito grinned in a feral way. Thankfully all of them died with the Uzumaki, and now these Konoha-nin dare to use our symbol in their uniforms. She scoffed with disdain. One ought to hear a feather falling on the ground due to the silence resulting of Mito's tale. Abruptly Naruto's head shot up and dark blue strength started to swirl round him, and his eyes changed into Sharingan with Tomo in each eyes, and golden chains with pointed tips and spiked connected erupted. From his back, Kiyomi become inspired at Naruto's subconscious show of power, as had been Mito and Kushina, who were looking at Naruto with widened eyes. That lying manipulative bastard. He shouted, and a shockwave originated from Naruto, making Kiyomi's fur ruffle, and for Kushina and Mito to anchor themselves to the ground with chakra, such energy. It truly is why he never wanted to inform me approximately my family. He wanted to make me dependable to the identical village that led to my own family getting killed. Naruto then took in a deep calming breath and exhaled. His chakra receding returned into his coils alongside together with his chakra chain. What are we going to do about it? To Naruto, Konoha's movement demanded retaliation from his component, and he would gladly do it on his circle of relatives instead. Kushina stood up and stated, "We're going to teach you so you can acquire up effective allies and bring Konoha to its knees." She then giggled. However, Naruto discovered her chuckle somewhat traumatic. "We additionally need you to repopulate the Uzumaki clan." Became her nose bleeding? Mito additionally giggled inside the identical way as Kushina. "Sure, we want you to break Konoha, after which reform the Uzumaki clan in which its enemy once stood." Mito's nose became bleeding too, so. Naruto trailed off as he checked out Kiyomi, who should simplest shrug its shoulders and sighed in defeat. "What are you going to educate me in?" "Mito, we're given her bearings first. I'm going to teach you the whole thing you want to realize approximately the Uzumaki art of sealing and the numerous ways you may apply them at the battlefield at the side of Iryo Ninjutsu." Mito's grin changed into positively feral. "It is a superb aspect. Time right here is diluted in a way that an hour right here equals a minute outside. I'm so going to revel in turning you into a sealing device." Mito even licked her lip sensually, and that becomes stressful. Kushina additionally got a feral smile on her white face. "From me, Naruto-kun, you may analyze hand-to-hand combat, a way to use a blade, and how to manipulate your chakra chains and Sharingan and evolve it. That you probably noticed you unlocked for the duration of your outburst. I will additionally circumstance your frame with Minato's education methods, and in view that you have Senju blood in you, you won't go through the negative consequences of Mangekyo whilst we free up it." Kushina becomes searching at him with a sickly sweet smile that made him frightened. Kiyomi then piped in eagerly, "And I'm going to teach you in a way to control your chakra and basic chakra, since I was sealed in you because your delivery, and with Kushina's seal I used to be able to give you all elemental affinity. That is all five nature together with yin, yang and yin-yang launch. In case you practice you could combine multiple elements to create a brand new one. And due to each Uchiha and Senju DNA in you I can assist you in awaking the Rinnegan and likely the Rinne Sharingan." Kiyomi's grin was candy and feral. "We're going to have a lot of laugh." Naruto reduced in size to himself as Kushina, Mito, and Kiyomi stalked towards him with hungry look of their eyes. He gulped. The things he did for his family. Naruto awakened on his room, and on his eyes one should absolutely see the difference from 2 months in the past. 2 months ago his eyes, at the same time as clever and sharp, had that gleam that denoted he became baby, now, but his eyes did not have that gleam. as an alternative they have been truly dull and lidded in a manner that whoever knew what meant, they might recognize he become now not a person to take lightly. Months, that absolutely became out to be 3 years if one did the maths of the 8 hours he spent every day on his mindscape, had brought quite a few changes to Naruto. The most obtrusive one became his way of thinking. What he now knew of Konoha had made him jaded to village and he was apathetic to it, although he wanted to look its destruction for my part. Also he had acquired traits from Kushina, Mito, and Kiyomi as he spent close to 3 years with them. Mito made him a sealing nut that tried to narrate whatever fight related to sealing, and in Kiyomi's and Kushina's words, she additionally became him into a horrifying person, whatever the hell that intended. Kushina controlled to by hook or by crook corrupt him into being a maniac with whatever that needed to do with swords, and Kiyomi got him to see the joys of playing the ache of his enemies. However, at some stage in this time he turned into capable of unlock the Mangekyo Sharingan due to genjutsu located on him through Kiyomi, and later he wakened the Rinnegan. And according to Kiyomi, in 4 to 5 years his Mangekyo will merge along with his Rinnegan with a view to develop into Rinne Sharingan, but she will speed it so it may be completed in few months. However, in step with her he might not have the ability use Sharingan or Mangekyo one at a time. Naruto additionally were given the belief that Sarutobi became certainly a manipulative bastard as he stored, interacting with the vintage man, even supposing become now not what he desired, but it needed to be accomplished to hold up appearances. The man was positive that Naruto changed into loyal to a fault, and that changed into going to be his and Konoha's downfall for while the time had become right. Sure, Naruto may want to admit that he was a work of art, however it turned into inevitable for the reason that the ones 3 had been his role fashions and the ones he regarded up to. They gave him the hazard to be his own character, and the least he could do for them became to imitate some of their traits, even if Kushina and Mito stored telling that there was much extra he could and might do for them when the time got here in that annoying manner of them. However, he shrugged it off for now, his education with them already become bearing consequences, as Kushina and Mito advised him that, as of now, he became on par with a Chunin stage ninja without the usage of his dojutsu and chakra chain. If he used all of his obtained competencies he can go par with Jonin and maybe in opposition to elite Jonin. Mito, Kushina and Kiyomi additionally placed him through fight situations they themselves or Minato had skilled inside the beyond to help alongside his gaining of revel in. Naruto proved to be a prodigy and a hard worker. Each trait be itself changed into enough to build a dangerous individual within the battlefield, but the two blended may want to flip one right into a monster, and that become no longer including the genetic tendencies Naruto was born with. Sadly, he couldn't use most of his talents because, despite the fact that he used his mindscape and Kiyomi's chakra made so any physical workout he did interior, his thoughts affected his real frame. His body changed into no longer equipped to endure one of these pressure. Certain he may want to do CQC, close quarters combat, flawlessly. However, the age and length difference had been an excessive amount of a issue. He may also use his chakra and the most simple of ninjutsu, however he used them to go without problems via the village and do stuff. But Naruto changed into affected person. Properly now, not precisely, however he knew that true things came to individuals who waited. It become the cause he waited for Sarutobi to come back to him with the provide of education and no longer the opposite way around. It would look suspicious if all at once he wanted to study after Sarutobi made him the offer, so he waited for, knock knock, that. Naruto hid a feral grin as he opened his door to find Sarutobi smiling kindly at him. Hey there Naruto-kun, how are you doing? I am doing great Sarutobi-sama. What brings you here? You and I had our walk yesterday. Sarutobi nodded his head. Sure, certainly we did. However, I got here to tell you that I found a person inclined to teach you to turn out to be a shinobi of Konoha. Have you ever come to a decision yet? Naruto heard his tenants guffawing internal his mind as he answered, yes Sarutobi-sama, I want to come to be a shinobi. Sarutobi's eye gleamed, and in his excitement he did not note the dearth of Konoha. When Naruto told him he desired to end up a shinobi, years have come and move when you consider that Naruto began education below Danzo and Hiruzen couldn't help the deep feeling of delight that swelled up on his stomach as he notioned approximately how loyal Naruto proved to be to the village, in line with Minato's plan. Conditioning Naruto be a emotionless drone might have butchered their possibilities to harness the energy of the Kyuubi, since it wished sturdy sufficient emotions to convey it forth. Hiruzen became at the beginning worried that Naruto could have loose will to do as he thrilled with this new improvement, but Danzo assured him that Naruto turned into dependable to Konoha, and Hiruzen relied on Danzo's words together with his stay. The man had been giving him monthly record on Naruto's development and what he heard whenever best served to please him increasingly. As it was expected, Naruto changed into a prodigy in the ninja arts. both in the theoretical know-how and within the practical one. It became now not as sudden if one took into account Naruto's pedigree, but what Danzo advised him astounded even him. These days became alleged to be every other of Danzo's report, and the person turned into walking past do, communicate of the devil and he shall come. Hiruzen looked up from the paint he was doing inside the personal quarters of the main building of the Sarutobi clan compound to look Danzo standing there. The two men modified little in the years. Maybe one or extra wrinkles on their faces, however, that was it. Danzo, to what do I owe the satisfaction? That clearly in no way got antique, and the mild frown on Danzo's face simplest served to amuse Sarutobi even greater. I'm no longer even going to deign with my annoyance, Hiruzen, Danzo said gruffly earlier than a light smirk set on his antique lips. However, the schooling and conditioning results have been too properly for me to experience something other than satisfaction, said Danzo with a smug air around him. Hiruzen rose an eyebrow and picked up his pipe from the ground. Has whatever new occurred in the final month? Requested Hiruzen, lighting up his pipe with a short software of Katan chakra. Danzo shook his head in the poor. The Jinchuriki hasn't shown any new skills of strategies in view that in the past month I've simplest tasked him with sparring against most of my root operatives. He has found new utility to his futon and Raitun techniques with all the fighting he had been doing, and his techniques are simplest second to the ones made up with the aid of the Nidame. Hiruzen nodded his head as he exhaled a few smoke. What approximately his other capabilities? Velocity? Energy? Taijutsu? Kenjutsu? Has he discovered any form of fuinjutsu? Danzo only had appropriate matters to mention, approximately Naruto's improvement in those areas, and whilst the learning of those could not be sped up by using the Kage Bunshin approach, except fuinjutsu, that was almost made up for Jinchuriki. Naruto's natural skills more than made up for it. Danzo once more shook his head. No, his speed remains the equal, around elite Jonin stage. That is damn impressive considering he's only 10 years antique. He could grow to be faster than that, however he were experimenting to reinforce it through the use of Raitun chakra when I talked to him about the Reikage signature technique, the same along with his taijutsu. Naruto had to realize approximately feasible destiny enemies simply in case. His kenjutsu keeps getting better and better thanks to that crimson-haired Anbu you sent to spar with him every week and the sparring he has been doing non-stop for the beyond month. His information on fuinjutsu is quite fundamental, seeing that we do not need him to debris with the seal. Hiruzen nodded another time earlier than exhaling a few smoke. I see. This is prudent considering his potential for fuinjutsu, and by means of limiting his obtaining of know-how could save you future mishaps. So are we able to say that he is already Jonin degree? For a 10-year vintage that changed into quite impressive. Shocking even, however they had to remember the fact that Naruto had Namikaze, Uzumaki and some Senju blood going through his veins. According to the Nidame, the Shodame were Jonin stage when he had been 8 years old. Danzo nodded his head inside the affirmative. Yes, as of now I might place Naruto around the level of Tenzo and Kakashi, both of the usage of their abilities to their full extent. Danzo paused earlier than cupping his scarred chin. This is if Naruto would not tap on the Kyuubi's chakra. He ought to without problems beat the ones too if he closes his eyes and remains far from Tenzo's Mokuton. However, we understand that preventing handicap like this is impossible except you're a censor. Which Naruto isn't. A/N. Naruto had thought's eye of Kagura, but Hiruzen and Danzo do not know. Hiruzen may want to best snicker with some leisure in it. So we got ourselves a weapon able to both excessive scale destruction and coffee profile ops that we can manage to our heart's content, and we also were given fail saves in case it goes out of control. Hiruzen leaned lower back and allowed a small smirk to come to a decision his lips. Suffice to say, our project were accomplished with extra than excellent results. Danzo joined Hiruzen in his chuckles. Minato became not unsuitable when he formulated this plan. At the start I was skeptical, however after I noticed it gambling out, I knew it was going to work. Minato had made many countermeasures have to any part of the plan became compromised, however they have been no longer wanted. Each he and Sarutobi had done a fantastic job in making Naruto the weapon Konoha wanted, and now they simplest need to revive Minato, but that might wait. Naruto needed to come out as a public figure to install fear on the alternative countries, and Hiruzen had the right way to do it. He locked eyes with Danzo. The situation with the Uchiha has gotten out of manage and Itachi refuses to kill of the complete extended family. Do you watched? He is ready to take such assignment. Danzo smirked. He's extra than ready. Top, inform him that his Hokage has another undertaking for him. Bear in mind it accomplished. Danzo gave Sarutobi one ultimate nod before disappearing in a shunshin. Hiruzen lightened his pipe all over again and leaned back quite simply once again. Hill dispatched for Itachi in a few minutes. Root base endless twitching, smoking our bodies could be seen littering the ground of the name of the game stadium like education ground that changed into placed. At the underground of Konoha, groans and grunts of pain were heard as the sound of clashing blades sounded above the twitching fallen types of the black-clad and masked shinobi. Blurs warped and regarded sometimes, and as they met each other, the sound of metallic hitting steel was heard. Danzo appeared in a shunshin at the edge of the schooling ground and gave the bodies in the ground a cursory look before placing his attention on the two shifting blurs. He made a mental be aware of upping the schooling intensity of his root operatives. They needed it if a 8-year-old changed into able to grate them in combat. Despite the fact that they were all pitched up in opposition to him, Jinchuriki or now not, it was no longer excusable. The scent of burnt ozone crammed his nostrils and a scream of agonizing ache reached Danzo's ears as the warfare ended. Danzo watched as Naruto held up a nondescript root by means of the neck, the operative's body twitching erratically as blue arcs of energy regarded randomly across his body. Danzo heard Naruto scoff before he threw the basis member with little care to sign up for his companions in comfortable unconsciousness and sheathing his blade, a chikudo, on the scabbard strapped diagonally to his waist. Naruto had modified a lot in the beyond 2 years, because of how tough his training were and the rigorous weight loss plan Danzo positioned him via. Alongside the Kiyomi running over him, the red-haired boy appeared at least 2 years older than what he's supposed to seem like. His hair reached in between his shoulder blades and framed his face, overlaying his left eye. Because he changed into shirtless, the compact muscle tissues he sported could be seen. His face turned into narrow, and the bored-to-death visage on his face should unnerve even the most experienced warrior. Danzo protected, the vintage shinobi approached the more youthful one. Ignoring the beat-up bodies within the ground, "You can kill them and yet you failed to," stated Danzo whilst he became at a talking distance from Naruto. Naruto gave Danzo a sideways glance earlier than shrugging his shoulders. There has been no one to kill them, as this was a spar, and whilst they may be no longer mentioned via the human beings, they're still shinobi of Konoha. Killing them might have weakened the village, so I simply gave them a motivation to get more potent. Spoke back Naruto in a monotone that to Danzo simplest Naruto could make. Danzo nodded in attractiveness to Naruto's reasoning because it went with how the boy concept. He became realistic and looked for approaches to inspire those weaker by way of him, being that via beating them down, speaking to them, or whatever other issue happened to him. Danzo knew that it became an amazing call no longer to eliminate Naruto's feelings for the reason that thanks to this many of his root had gotten more potent. "Inform me, do you watched yourself prepared for an SS rank task?" asked Danzo, and he watched as Naruto's icy blue eyes became closer to him in an incredibly involved style. Those eyes unnerved Danzo for a few reasons, however he shook it up. "What form of venture?" Danzo shifted his weight on his cane, the type with a view to put more blood for your fingers than your beyond missions blended, that were given his interest. "I'm listening." Danzo locked eyes with Naruto. The Uchiha extended family were making plans a coup d'état towards Hiruzen for the remaining couple of years. Our snitch, Itachi Uchiha, had confirmed that they were going to behave soon, and it has gotten out of our fingers. We tasked him with killing off the entire clan. However, Itachi refused to kill every person and opted to kill only those directly worried, and we cannot have that, given that if we do not kill all of them, the residing ones are looking for revenge for his or her fallen brethren. Naruto nodded his head as he got what Danzo become implying. "It become obvious. You want me to kill those spared through Itachi," he said, crossing his arms over his chest and letting his body weight fall on his left feet. "Now not they all." Danzo shook his head. "Sasuke, Itachi's little brother, is to be left alive so we can harness the hatred he's going to develop for Itachi and channel it into turning him into a splendid asset for Konoha. Roots that I have sent to watch over the young Uchiha file that even for a member of that clan he has a strong chakra." Naruto raised an eyebrow at that. "What about Kakashi Hatake?" "He has the Sharingan and is thought to apply it tons better than Maximum Uchiha." Danzo shook his head. "Kakashi's Sharingan isn't robust sufficient to do the things Sasuke's could be able to doing once he awakens it. We're hoping that the trauma as a result of the killing of his extended family becomes sufficient to perform that, and reaches its full maturity." In different phrases, "We want to guarantee that the Kyuubi remains beneath wraps. Need to some things show up to you." Naruto nodded his head, seeing the good judgment in it. "So essentially my mission includes killing off the maximum elite, extended family of Konohagakure no Sato and ensure Sasuke Uchiha stays alive." Naruto nodded his head over again. "Recall it executed." Danzo additionally nodded his head. "Desirable. You will presence should pass left out with the aid of anybody. No one is to understand which you have been there." most effective Hiruzen, and I may be aware about that, also. Danzo trailed off, seemed down and cupped his chin earlier than looking at Naruto. We want to assure that Sasuke awaken his Sharingan. Kill his parents, Fugaku and Naori in front of him. His parents? Aren't they supporters of the coup? I doubt that Itachi would fail to kill them considering how efficient he is, and that killing the ones too are part of his project whether they may be his parents or not, stated Naruto. He had heard the testimony surrounding Itachi Uchiha, and in the intervening time Naruto became sure he could come out triumphant should he fight him if he all out. Danzo shook his head. Those have been the ones to instigate the coup on the primary vicinity. Itachi will kill them, yes, but I doubt he would do it in the front of his brother, and now Naruto completely understood. This mission became not simplest to stop the Uchiha from beginning a civil conflict like the one which these days started out in Kiri. It changed into also a undertaking to secure a devoted Sharingan person so the Hokage should do with him anything he wanted. That became a laugh. Very well. Is there something else that I want to understand? Requested Naruto. Danzo nodded before accomplishing into his robes and pulling out a mask that he acceded to Naruto, who changed into gazing it with a few confusion. From this moment and onwards you're Oni. You are an extension of my and Hiruzen's wills. You'll be assigned the most difficult to understand and dangerous Black Ops mission with the sole motive of benefiting Konoha. Do you accept? The query turned into certainly one of courtesy, however it needed to be asked. Naruto did not hesitate. I do, however I already had a masks, and confirmed it to Danzo. That turned into only for your unofficial mission. But this masks suggests which you rean legit ANBU, Danzo elaborated to Naruto. So Naruto placed the mask on and Danzo needed to shiver at how demonic it regarded. It even make Naruto appearance greater dangerous and more potent than what he already changed into. And as an awful lot as Danzo desired to disclaim it, it scared him, knowing that this boy in front of him could grow to become more potent and stronger as his capacity turned into unequaled. It became a very good factor he changed into as unswerving to Konoha as he and Hiruzen in the back of his masks. Naruto ultimately allowed the amused smirk to set in on his face. Mikoto Uchiha might most effective admit to herself that she turned into a miserable and sad woman. Many could assume that if she informed them she became miserable, it changed into due to now not being beautiful sufficient. However, she prided herself on her beauty. Thanks to the rigorous training in her genes, Mikoto changed into currently one of the maximum lovely women in the village, with a very pretty face, lengthy and luscious raven hair and a body that many men and women favored. In more than one way. No, the reason due to Mikoto's suffering commenced 16 years in the past while her husband Fugaku challenged her for the position of clan head and her hand in marriage. She of course time-honored the project, not looking to marry an smug and despicable guy. However, she failed to foresee what Fugaku would do to her, so he may want to assure his victory. Mikoto were dominating the fight whilst her head had began to spin and had began to throw up. That lapse of a few seconds was enough for Fugaku to knock her subconscious and win the in shape. Whilst she had regained her bearings, she turned into a clinic room and she was instructed that there was a slow-appearing poison in her bloodstream. Mikoto had by no means been so indignant in her lifestyles, but she normal the effects. Once they married, Mikoto made Fugaku known she was now not his to do as he thrilled, and that they had been only married through law, and that changed into it. That was not unusual information to each person. However, what become not unusual knowledge become what Fugaku did to her with the strength clan head fame gave him. It become fine not to think about it, but fortunately it had not been anything sexual. It become extra a few of the traces of humiliation and bad treatment from Fugaku, Naori, the mom of his children, and stated youngsters. Nicely Sasuke turned into a brat and Itachi handiest neglected her and ordered round on occasion. However, she persisted. She managed to undergo all that way to her quality buddy, Kushina. She had no longer been that devastated while Kushina died because Kushina herself instructed her the Minato's plan as a great deal. However, it nevertheless harmed to peer her friend's body mendacity coldly inside that coffin. Whilst Kushina turned into declared lifeless, Mikoto knew that she needed to do what her buddy asked her to, and that become to make public the information of Naruto being the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi. Kushina were so adamant on her doing it that Mikoto could not assist but comply with what her pal requested her to do. She had watched over Naruto a distance and she couldn't help to feel extra miserable to look how he become handled, and understanding she became the reason of it. Her emotions of self-loathing handiest got worse while observed out Naruto become education underneath Danzo of absolutely everyone. After hearing Fugaku ranting approximately it, he went on approximately how the village become making a weapon out of the Jinchuriki, how their plan to usurp the Hokage's energy turned into doomed on the grounds that consistent with Itachi. Naruto changed into able to cloak himself in pink chakra that changed into corrosive to everybody, however himself. The best motive Fugaku stored his plan going become on the hunch they could suppress the power of the Kyuubi with Sharingan. And that turned into enough to assure most of the people of the extended family they may nonetheless pass against the village. Mikoto individually notioned they had been all fools. Mikoto didn't recognize what kind of lifestyle she had condemned her first-rate buddy's son to, and she did now not want to go to the afterlife to confront Kushina. She wanted for the Shinigami to devour her and send her soul to eternal torment. Even supposing Kushina had instructed her that the whole thing this is going on become going to show up is happening. Even the coup d'etat, how did she knew approximately that anyway? She could not help however sense that turned into what she deserved, Hooer dash. A blade gleamed as it was delivered down and the person gurgled as his lungs were punctured and they stuffed up with blood. He died in seconds. Naruto flicked his blade to the facet, cleansing it of the blood belonging to Guy useless on his feet and the rest of his family who had been additionally useless. The red-haired Jinchuriki changed into garbed in a complete frame black cloak that obscured any distinguishable characteristic of his frame. The hood became no longer pulled over his head as he wanted his red hair and masks to be visible. He desired to provide the Uchiha he killed the scare in their lives earlier than he dispatched them to the afterlife. His red hair protected his masked visage, which was something virtually scary and demonic to behold. It turned into within the genuine identical form on his face, and it needed to thick crimson lines that went from the top a part of the masks to in which its jaw ended. The lines were only interrupted through the eye holes, which had been set on a glare and most effective allowed for Naruto's icy blue eyes to be seen and the demonic grin. Filled with razor-sharp tooth, Naruto calmly made his manner out of the residence as he sighed in annoyance. While he arrived on the compound, some masked person which he found from his tenants that who was accountable for Kyuubi's assault 8 years ago, who regarded out of nowhere in a swirling vortex of strength and requested him if he changed into going to deflect like Itachi, and when Naruto replied inside the bad, the man simply shrugged and disappeared inside the identical manner he arrived. That had been the most weird component he had bore witness to, and he had visible some weird stuff when schooling along with his tenants. Hiya. That navy of mutant rabid rabbits changed into stranger than that, and it turned into exact combat. You found out masses of stuff from that, shouted Kiyomi from inside his mind, and Naruto chuckled. In his mindscape, whatever turned into feasible as lengthy Naruto willed it to appear, so he gave Kushina, Mito, and Kiyomi overall manage over it. They could materialize many extraordinary combat conditions wherein he turned into to use his competencies to come out as the victor. In Kiyomi's case, he would fabric stuff from nightmares that she had, claiming that the only approximately the rabbits turned into the worst one, and it were an amazing combat. Naruto had to regenerate an ear, an eye fixed, and his whole left arm after he was accomplished. It become an awesome element. That form of damage become no longer finished to his outside frame whilst training inside the mindscape. Are you certain that become the only who made you attack Konoha? Asked Naruto after he exited the residence and jumped to the roof of it. He stared on the compound, noticing the bleeding bodies that littered the ground, most of them missing their eyes. It appeared just like the masked guy was additionally performing some paintings. Naruto felt Kiyomi's nod. Sure. And now that I gotta examine of his chakra, I realize he isn't always Madara Uchiha. As a count number of truth Kushina, his chakra rings a bell in my memory of that Uchiha clown Minato used to teach. However, he also has some of Hashirama's chakra coursing via him. Obito? That's not possible. Naruto could photograph Kushina doing an X together with her palms, and it made him giggle. Obito died after a rock fell on pinnacle of him. Accidents like which are deadly, and I doubt he could have survived. Mito determined to put her personal 2 cents. You need to think about the truth that Kiyomi can experience some of Hashirama's chakra on him. And we recognize a number of his cells had been saved alive so as to be used. That Tenzo toddler is proof enough, so the possibility of him being alive thanks to a person, maximum likely Orochimaru, implanting them on him to hold him alive aren't so far-fetched. Anyways, we're going to want to hold a watch on him. He is harvesting dozens of Sharingan eyes, and that I do not love it one bit. However, we'll pass that bridge while we get there. Now, mother, in which is Mikoto's house? Naruto asked as he began to leap his way toward the exact middle of the compound. He had killed already his truthful percentage of Uchiha, and he reasoned he ought to leave the relaxation to Itachi in the masked guy. Naruto may want to sense Kushina's pleasure. She lives precisely at the center of the compound, in the most important house. Oh, I can't wait to have Miko-chan join us. She might be beating herself up with the matters I instructed her to do. Kushina sounded more sheepish than remorseful. However, that was Kushina all right. Naruto shook his head and he upped his velocity. Kiyomi had given him a few sensory talents that had amplified his own Uzumaki sensory ability, Mind Eye of Kagura. Now with Kiyomi's rays he can feel emotions too, way to his mindscape education. And he could feel what became occurring within the compound quite without problems. Itachi changed into nearly carried out with killing off the treacherous clan members, and if the trend he become feeling was anything to head by, then he was conscious a person else became killing the innocent, that the harmless ones were aware about the coup and that they did nothing to stop it, nor did they document it to the Hokage so that they were rarely harmless. The masked man became nowhere to be felt. Naruto made his way in the direction of the 4 chakra signatures he felt on the center of the compound and fast arrived to a story residence that looked a lot just like the other ones, except this one had a larger front backyard and returned backyard and changed into perhaps a touch wider, but Naruto paid little attention to that. He slipped in without making any sound and was amused on the scene. Earlier than him, Fugaku and Naori were status protectively in front of Sasuke and had been glaring at Mikoto with their Sharingan activated. Mikoto became returning the glare with just as lots, if no longer more intensity than the alternative, with a kunai held tightly in her hand. It changed into fun due to the fact he could see the sweat trailing down Fugaku and Naori, they all understanding that they were no suit to Mikoto. To-san. Ka-san. What's going on? Why is Itachi and I killing everyone else? And why Mikoto is attacking us? Naori glanced down at her son with a few nervousness. I do not know, Sasuke. However, I comprehend it's likely because of the same motive this complaint attacked us out of nowhere. Mikoto chuckled in enjoyment. Out of nowhere, you say? She twisted up at them and her pink eyes started out to spin threateningly. I were given sick of the manner your family dealt with me, understanding that I should do nothing to you as it might pitch the whole clan in opposition to me, but now which you subsequently drove your son over the threshold in any such way that it made him start killing all and sundry, then I advised myself, why no longer? Fugaku ought to best growl and stare at Mikoto. He didn't need to say whatever. He failed to even want to transport. He knew Mikoto ought to end him in a heartbeat, and he appreciated his stay too much to forfeit it in a manner. He would look forward to an opportunity, scoop up his infant and Naori and get the hell out of there. Their plans have been foiled. However, he should stay to strike any other day. An amused giggle drew their attention to the window, and even as Fugaku, Naori and Sasuke jumped and stared in horror, Mikoto's eyes widened and he or she allowed the kunai fall to the ground as tears welled up in them. She could understand that purple hair anywhere, and even as the mask scared her, she appeared past that and managed to see the fawn stare Naruto turned into directing at her. Uchiha. Mikoto. Naruto trailed off. His voice sounded double-layered and deeper for you to mask his identity. In addition, my mom has simplest informed me good things about you, and she become very adamant for me to satisfy you. Mikoto's eyes widened. Your mother? How is she alive? Naruto needed to smile on the deep wish her voice become wearing. It handiest served to guarantee him that Mikoto became indeed an amazing a person with a purpose to be loyal to his cause. Ah, she is so lovely. Turned into that a squeal from Kushina. Women were so weird. She was never dead, Mikoto, and so that you recognize. Neither she nor I blame you for what she asked you to do and how it affected me. It led me to recognize that she turned into certainly alive, and for that I am grateful, said Naruto, smiling at her, closing his eyes so she knew he was doing that. Mikoto went to her knees and started out crying. Her being was filled with so much happiness that she couldn't help herself, and this became the opportunity Fugaku became expecting. He shot up from his position, picked up the kunai Mikoto dropped and raised over his head and taken it all the way down to stop her stay. But it changed into no longer to be. A gloved hand averted Fugaku from killing Mikoto, and much to the astonishment of anybody there, Naruto, who changed into appreciably shorter than Fugaku, stopped the man's assault with seemingly no problems on his part. The glare that the crimson-haired masked boy became sending Fugaku changed into sufficient to paralyze him in worry. I'm sorry, Fugaku-san, but I cannot assist you to kill her off. She is simply too critical to me and my mom, said Naruto earlier than tightening his maintain around Fugaku's wrist, and what befell next would for all time be etched in Sasuke's mind. Naruto pulled and ripped off Fugaku's arm from its socket. Blood gushed out like a fountain from wound, positioned at his shoulder. The Uchiha extended family head stared at the demon protecting his arm as he discarded it apart without a care. Inside the International, he became approximately to scream in bloody anguish, but the sword embedded into his throat prevented that. Naori and Sasuke stared in horror as Naruto gripped his blade by using the handle and made it spin 3 160 ranges at the same time as nonetheless stabbed through Fugaku's neck. Fugaku's head best grew to become midway and it turned into staring proper back at Sasuke and Naori with widened clean eyes and blood leaking out of his mouth. Fugaku's frame fell ahead, however his head fell backwards, rolling in the direction of Naori and Sasuke, the two of them watching it as it came to a forestall at their FT, and then they screamed, "Excellent!" Complimented Kiyomi. Naruto sheathed his sword and pointed an open palm in the direction of Naori. A golden chain surrounded in crimson strength shot forward and wrapped around her head, muffling up her screams in the system. The chain soon started out to retract into Naruto and with it, Naori, Ka-san. Sasuke screamed in fright as he watched his mom pulled far away from him, his voice hoarse, face red and tears streaming down his face. The chain retracted fully and Naruto held Naori by way of her neck. He stared into her Sharingan eyes and Naori tried to place him in a genjutsu out of reflex, however she was amazed while her chakra was disrupted when it reached his coils. Naruto shook his head and grew to become it towards Mikoto, who became gazing him with an excited smile on her face. "I bet she is yours to kill, Mikoto," stated Naruto, tightening his grip around Naori, who could only choke as her get entry to of oxygen become stopped. Mikoto nodded her head and picked the kunai from Fugaku's hand. She kicked the headless body once earlier than she moved in toward Naori. She stared into her fearful eyes earlier than a mischievous grin set on her face. "So you know? You are not the only one to find it irresistible up the ass. Fugaku did too," said Mikoto, and she or he loved the stunned look Naori dispatched her way before she plunged the kunai through her temple. Itachi determined to arrive at that actual equal time. Naruto threw Naori's dead body to the bowled over Itachi and used that as a distraction, passed towards Sasuke and grabbed him by using the scruff of his neck and held his sword threateningly towards Sasuke's neck. Mikoto joined him through his side and that they each enjoyed the extensive-eyed and blank look Itachi changed into sending them, "Ni-san. They killed Tu-san and Ka-san," shouted Sasuke. However Mikoto shut him up via backhanding him, leaving a red mark on his cheek that changed into already pulsing and becoming pink. "Why do not you inform Sasuke, which you had been planning on doing the same issue, Itachi?" Naruto watched as Sasuke's eyes widened while Itachi refused to meet his eyes. The youngest Uchiha screamed one ultimate time, a stage 1 Sharingan acting on every of his eyes earlier than he passed out. "Who are you?" asked Itachi, subsequently letting rage to sip on his voice and for his Sharingan to stare at Naruto and Mikoto with hate. His mom laid useless in his arms and his father, or his portions to be more correct, have been mendacity at the ground. Sizable portions of blood portray it red. "Who I'm is not your concern, Uchiha Itachi. Your difficulty is the stay of your beloved more youthful brother. Here is what you will do. You are going to leave the village and you'll tell anyone that the most effective survivor of this massacre is Sasuke." He glared at Itachi and his killing reason turned into sufficient to make Itachi recoil and worrying. "If I heard most effective unmarried rumor approximately Mikoto being alive, then you'll must bear with the reality which you killed your brother, understood?" Itachi's fist tightened and he glared at Naruto, no longer that Itachi knew who became at the back of the mask and he becomes starting to expand disgust for masks, his eyes morphing into their Mangekyo shape. "I am going to kill you," Naruto chuckled. "You couldn't kill me as of now, but you wouldn't risk harming Sasuke right here, so I kindly ask you to get the hell out of right here." Itachi swallowed up his anger and with a final look of hatred directed at Naruto and Mikoto he left. Naruto paid no mind to the tears that fell to the ground just before Itachi disappeared in a shunshin. Naruto then tapped Sasuke's forehead and a diminutive seal appeared which crawled as much as his hairline. Sasuke could keep in mind that Itachi became the one to kill his parents and Mikoto. He needed for the two brothers to coincide in their tales in spite of everything. Mikoto glanced around the room before shrugging and looking at Naruto. "What now?" she requested him apparently. She squeaked while Naruto wrapped an arm around her and she or he couldn't assist but blushed. She felt the tough muscle tissues below his cloak. Naruto chuckled and stared into Mikoto's eyes. "Now it is time to play a game, you in?" Mikoto nodded without hesitation and they disappeared in a flash of purple each. Naruto and Mikoto appeared in one in every of Root's old base which Naruto found about all through his time schooling and doing missions beneath Danzo. Naruto removed his mask and requested Mikoto to take a seat. Mikoto cannot assist but see the similarities between Naruto and Kushina, identical color of hair, same form of eyes and equal warmth in his eyes as Kushina. She was snapped out of her musing while Naruto offered her some snacks. She blushed embarrassingly upon getting her bearings. She requested, "In which is your mother? How is she alive? I saw her lifeless body, and in which turned into she all this time?" Naruto held his palms up to stop the questioning beauty and spoke. Why don't you ask those questions immediately to her? And put his hand to her brow and enter his mindscape together with Mikoto. After witnessing what is in the front of her, Mikoto's jaw dropped. In front of her, female redhead had been talking to the Kyubi no Yoko, and she fainted after she wakened. Kushina instructed her about Minato's plan, how she counter it and seal herself into Naruto, approximately the Uzumaki extended family and Uzushio, and some of her plans concerning Naruto, Konoha and entire elemental state. Suffice to mention, Mikoto turned into stunned could be understatement. However, she is familiar with Kushina's reasoning, and informed her that she will help Kushina and Naruto however she could. After a few catching up, each exited Naruto's thoughtscape, and Naruto gave her a tour of the location and informed her live at base not pop out that he'll contact her quickly. After finishing up with Mikoto, Naruto went back to the main headquarters and said approximately undertaking success to Danzo and informed him that Uchiha Sasuke had awakened his stage 1 Sharingan and he is only survivor left, and killed one Uchiha Mikoto, who changed into jogging away, but her frame wafted away in Naka River. 6 months later, these 6 months have long passed. Identical for Naruto, educate in Root HQ, educate in Mindscape while napping, complete solo missions as Oni, meet and speak with Mikoto and provide her daily components. Throughout these 6 months he had evolved a high-quality dating with Mikoto and grow to be appropriate buddy with her, and additionally educated together with her time to time. Nowadays Naruto had been referred to as by using Danzo in his workplace for any other undertaking, but while Naruto entered Danzo's he found out that Danzo become no longer the handiest one present within the office. Sandame turned into also present there with Danzo. After coming into, Naruto bowed earlier than his leaders, and said in monotone, Oni reporting. Sandame-sama, Danzo-sama. Ah. My boy Naruto, 100% fulfillment in missions, quite dazzling. Naruto, Sandame said cheerfully. Thanks Hokage-sama, Naruto replied monotonously. Danzo interrupted their talk through smashing his cane on floor and stated, Oni, there is every other mission for you. What's it, Danzo-sama? Gato is offering weapons to Kumo via his delivery. You need to sabotage the undertaking going to Kumo and spot that no different undertaking went for Kumo, Hokage stated monotonously. What about Gato? Do I should assassinate him? No assassination of Gato. He additionally delivered Konoha numerous weapon. The cargo could be leaving days from day after today. You could go away now, Danzo said, and gave him venture scroll. After taking the scroll, Naruto left after bowing to each of them. His project reports are first rate. 100% success without headaches. I'm inspired, Danzo. Virtually impressed. However, I assume it's time to carry our little weapon in light, Hiruzen said significantly. Danzo frowned and stated, what do you suggest with the aid of bringing him into light? Hiruzen chuckled and said, I'm considering him getting into the identical academy magnificence as Uchiha Sasuke in different extended family heirs. Due to the fact that consistent with your document he constantly pushes his peers to get more potent. This way we can get a sturdy clan heads for subsequent era, but no, however, Danzo and upload some other one of Root Umbu to be prepared for watching over Uchiha Sasuke's sims. He would possibly take into account the plan to run away if someone gives him a threat to achieve energy to kill Itachi. Danzo wanted to protest, but see the reasoning at the back of Hiruzen's order. Hi Hiruzen, Danzo muttered bitterly. Seeing this, Hiruzen spoke up. Suppose, old pal, with this batch we will show other villages our might. Danzo nodded and muttered, you're right, Hiruzen. So this could be Oni's closing assignment. You need to prepare for his dwelling arrangements. After all, we cannot have our weapon dwelling on streets. I'm able to inform him of this improvement after he returns from his mission. I already had an apartment in thoughts that's inside the same block as his can just to accomplish and be Unico. After discussing some extra subjects, Hiruzen left with Naruto. After leaving the primary office he went to his area and right now went in his mindscape, where after talking to Mito, Kushina and Kiyomi he determined out that wave is close to Uzushio, so he decided to visit it and take Mikoto too with him. After checking his gear he left to the deserted base from wherein he picked Mikoto and left Konoha with along with her. He used Kamui so the barrier cannot come across Mikoto's exit in view that she's useless. After days of journeying he and Mikoto reached wave where he completed his mission, and left few clone to peer that Gato might not send any other cargo. After that he left for Yuzu after bypassing the barrier as Mito advised him to do. He in conjunction with Mikoto input Uzushio. After seeing the nation of Uzushio he at the side of Kushina and Mito grow to be sad. After you have his bearing again he his Hiruzen marker in Uzushio and activated his Rina Sharingan, which made Mikoto imitate like fish. Naruto went via a few hand sign and shouted Geto Rina Tensei no Jutsu and fell to his one knee. However, earlier than he should get up and control his bearing, he was tackled through newly revived Mito and Kushina, who had been hugging him tightly. Each were within the body of their overdue teenagers. After some speaking and a big hug between Kushina and Mikoto, all went to sleep. The next morning absolutely everyone woke, and after consuming breakfast Naruto spoke. So I could be leaving some of my clones right here that will help you three rebuilding Uzushio, due to the fact you Mito-chan and Ka-chan understand greater about the design and Uzushio's structure, so each of you may be commanding them. Mito spoke smugly at the same time as searching at Kushina. Okay, na are you to Kun, she purred. Kushina spoke with sickly sweet smile. What did I told you to call me Naru-kun? Name me Kushina-chan. Hi. Kushina-chan. Naruto spoke right away while sweating. Absolutely everyone laughed at his price. The use of Banbutsu Sozo no Jutsu he created required material for rebuilding Uzushio, and created Moku Bunshin using Moku Bunshin no Jutsu. Seeing this, Mikoto requested, perplexed. Why Moku Bunshin, Naruto-kun? Why now not Kage Bunshin, given that you can create more of them? So Naruto answered, in contrast to Kage Bunshin, they may not run out considering they can use nature chakra to replenish their reserve, and additionally they don't transfer reminiscence to me, and also can carry out Mokuton technique more without problems when you consider that they're one with nature. Listening to his response, absolutely everyone nodded. So, I may be going again to Konoha. Hearing this, absolutely everyone's temper dropped. Seeing this, he said evenly, I need to set a few spies there, and additionally I want some a few techniques and scroll from there, and gave every of them one Hiraition kunai and spoke, beside you can call me every time you need. They all comfy, so he spoke significantly. I want to gather allies for Yuzu, and also I discover a few lead approximately any other Uchiha survivor who is approximately to enroll en route and lead approximately some alive Uzumakis. Listening to this, Kushina asked excitedly, in which are they? What number of are there? When we will meet up? Who is the Uchiha survivor? Mikoto requested lightly. Mito was also excited. Naruto spoke. I don't get tons information, approximately the Uzumaki. However, I discovered out that Orochimaru had one Uzumaki girl operating underneath him. And then there is one red-head woman who can heal human beings. When they chunk her in Kyuzugakure. He took breath then spoke. And the Uchiha goes through the name of Uchiha Izumi, and she or he handiest survived because her heart changed into on proper side in place of left. Root Anbus discover her and saved her. She goes to join Root. Listening to this, all of them smiled and Mikoto spoke up. She became a sweet woman, unlike many different Uchihas. So it seems you're planning to bring her here, aren't you? Naruto chuckled and said, sure, I will be bringing OT simply her, however many different who will be part of us. Mito got here in advance and said, Naruto-kun, this seal will help us talk with you at the same time as you are accessible, and positioned the seal over Naruto, and persisted. Please update about the state of affairs while you are there gaining allies. When we rebuild Uzushio, we can additionally assist in gaining extra allies. You don't have to do all of it on my own. We are with you. Each Kushina and Mikoto nodded. Thank you all. I recognize I'm not by myself. And Mito-chan, I can be seeking out Tsunade's vicinity so you can meet her again. After hugging each of them and getting a kiss on Chaek through all three beauties, he left for Konoha.